Albert Einstein, Helen Keller, Bethany Hamilton, Nick Vujicic. Who are some of these people and what do they have in common? All of these people mentioned are overcomers. For example, the brilliant scientist Albert Einstein was considered lazy and easily distracted as a primary school student, but as an adult, he was responsible for developing the theory of relativity, one of the two pillars of modern physics. Helen Keller was both blind and deaf, but was able to become an author, disability rights advocate, and lecturer. After losing her arm from a shark attack, professional surfer Bethany Hamilton went on to become an author and speaker, sharing her inspiring story. Another overcomer, Nick Vujicic, was born without limbs. As a child, he suffered ridicule and discrimination and tried to commit suicide, but with time, he learned to see his own potential. He is currently the founder of Life Without Limbs, which is an organization for people with physical disabilities. He spends most of his time giving motivational talks around the world and has written several books on being an overcomer. Each of these people faced really tough obstacles, but through faith and determination was able to conquer their challenges and move on to make a difference for their communities and even the world. Today on God Dreamers, we will be spending some time with another overcomer, Polk, who will share about his life-changing event that has shaped who he is today and how he is using it to help others. That's what's next on God Dreamers. Welcome to another God Dreamers experience. I'm so excited about today's guest. He's a businessman, entrepreneur, and he's got a really cool story that I think is going to be very inspirational for you guys. I mean, it's a really cool story, so I'm so excited to hear what he's got to say. So, Aaron, welcome to God Dreamers, man. I'm so excited for you to hang out with us today, man. Elated and ecstatic about what you have to share. So tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, thanks, Todd. Yes, I'm Aaron. My last name is Polk, and I'm an entrepreneur. You would think I was born as an entrepreneur, but I'm an entrepreneur, and I've always been a business owner since I was 15.
Wow!
And it seems like I've always found myself in a leadership role. So today, I hope that I can share a message with you that would only come from a true experience and from the heart that may make you realize some of the things that you may take for granted. So today, my message is about overcoming challenges and stop taking things for granted.
I hear you, man. So let's back up a little bit. Now you said you always, I guess as a young person, you had this enterprising mindset. So what was your first enterprising adventure, or venture I should say?
You know what? I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but my first job was a lifeguard at a city pool in Griffin for $6 an hour.
Big money.
Yeah, and I sat out there and I felt like bacon. I mean, it was so hot, and I did save a few people. It was really a cool experience.
Yeah.
And that lifeguard portion of my past saved my life later. So I believe it was just part of the page in my book, you know. And so, but yeah, so I was a lifeguard. I lived on a farm, and then one day my mom met an antique dealer, and then I wound up working at an antique store for $10 an hour.
Moving on up.
And then I was stuck on the loading dock, loading everybody's furniture up and tying it off. But then I would tie off the furniture and have 20 other people lined up, and it was weird because each one of them would give me a 10 or 20.
So you're making big money there.
So that my mind, you know, my mind started thinking like, wow, I can't believe you can make this kind of money just sitting on a loading dock. And so at 15 years old, I couldn't even drive. My mind just got started right then. Boom. It was just like it was meant to be.
It just clicked.
Yeah. So I would sit at the counter where everybody would check out. This is, you know, how I would get the deliveries. So they would all ask at the counter, well, do y'all deliver? Or do you know anybody that delivers? And I would say, I do, so much that I wound up naming the company I Do Moving. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, man, that business was amazing. I mean, because at that age, you have to rely on your parents for support and money, and I didn't have to, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I had the whole football team working for me, and it was crazy. It was amazing, and I would have someone pick me up from school with the trucks already loaded.
Wow. So I know we'll get to what you're doing now, but I can see what you're doing now based on your experiences as you were growing up.
Yeah, man, it was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
It was really, really cool. Yeah.
So, I mean, in high school, I mean, were you involved, like, were you a studious person or you were athletic? I mean, you mentioned something about being a lifeguard, so I would imagine you did swimming and all that good stuff. Did you compete or anything in swimming or anything like that?
No, I was extremely athletic though, and I was involved in my school, with the student government body and stuff like that.
Okay. That's where the leadership kicks in, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe I was voted that, but it all worked out. And long story short, I was athletic and played basketball and baseball, but I did not play on the team for the high school I went to after I left Griffin. I just gave up sports and was focused on my career.
Wow. So, I mean, all those things, man, I guess all kind of come together to kind of make you who you are today, from your leadership to the swimming and so forth. What about faith? And were your family, religious family, or did you guys go to church when you were younger?
So my family was not as religious as probably most, but my granddaddy though, my grandma, we called her granddaddy because my brother couldn't announce grandma, so he called her granddaddy. So that name stuck with her forever. And so my granddaddy would drag me to church literally like every day. I mean, every day. I mean, she cooked for the church. She did everything but speak. She cleaned the church. She did all kinds of stuff. And when I was so young, I would just go hang out under the pews and play micro machines and all those little games up under the pews. But I was so involved in the church that's where my faith began.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about purpose. At that age, a lot of times people are kind of struggling, especially now with so many things that are going on in the world, and a lot of people are really struggling as far as finding their purpose. That there's so many things, so many just things in the airways through social media, and we're constantly bombarded with stuff and being influenced by stuff. As far as purpose for your life, did you have any indication as a child as far as what you wanted to do and what God had called you to do as far as your God-given purpose? You mentioned a little bit about that with all the different things that you experienced through leadership and so forth, but did you have any indication back then as far as what did you wanted to do in your life?
Yeah. So I was in Eagle Scouts and all these wonderful things. And so I learned how to track animals, and I learned very quick on how to find them, and obviously that's what tracking's for. But as I would hang out with the hunters, that's what they call them, hunters, I never could shoot. I could never kill.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, if I'm gonna actually do something like that, I should eat it and all that stuff. So I didn't like being surrounded by that. That was not my atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then I began to focus as a young child and not having really neighbors. I got to know the animals. I spent a lot of time with them. And you can spend time with horses, and it like heals you. When they heal you, you want to go from one horse to the other. And so that moved on into cows and then peacocks and chickens and dogs, and so I realized that I was more of a like a relationship more so than like a hunter. So I learned how to pray over them and pray with them, like when they got hurt or when one of them was sick, things like that.
Yeah.
And man, I would always see magnificent returns. So I just knew inside my heart that God exists. He's amazing. And it was just like little bitty things that would grow, where my granny would say, "Oh yeah, honey, you know," and it just, so much of that just was real, that it implanted a seed in my heart that told me that God's real. He's real. He's absolutely real. All you have to do is just talk to him, you know.
Amen. So, I mean, I don't know if you can see, and I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but, you know, I don't know the shot that we have, but you're in a wheelchair. And so what happened in your life that put you in a situation where you have to, you know, be in a wheelchair? What happened?
Yeah, I know that must be a tough way to answer someone, you know,
Yeah.
or question someone. Well, I don't want to go into the injury and how I got hurt, because that's such a long story. So what we'll do is we'll focus on the moment it happened. So it happened. I'm floating in the water on my back, thank God. Can't move. And the waves are just coming over me. I remembered as a lifeguard, this must be a spinal cord injury. And then the wave would hit me. So I was like, oh God, I need to breathe. So I had to time myself out so that I would time the waves coming. So one would hit and I would time it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I realized on the seventh second, I would have to take my breath. And that moment when you're completely numb and you're in the water and all you can do is look up, you have to believe that someone's going to see you, and they did. An off-duty paramedic saw me, and he knew exactly what to do with me, and he got me to the shore. They saved me. I mean, they did. They saved me. And during that duration, only thing I had was a smile. So that's the only muscle I was left with. So they get me to the hospital, and all I could do is smile, because you just have to stay strong and stay faithful. And I just knew that.
Wow, man, that's heavy duty, man, to have that kind of accident. Because I was going to ask you, what was going through your mind? You know, I know when sometimes when we experience something that's very traumatic or life-changing, you know, our minds race, you know, and flash before, you know, life flashes before us, and then we have to make a decision. You know, the decision is, my life's over, I'm never going to be the same again, and I'm just, you know, I'm going to check out, or how can I take the situation and make the best of it? Now, was that kind of going through your mind when that happened, or shortly thereafter?
No, that's a good question. Everyone's going to want to know that, and that's a very, very good question. The devil works so strong on you that if I didn't have that core seed already implanted in my heart, it would have been very easy to allow the devil to tell me, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, But I was already seeded. I was already saved before the accident. And when I'm laying on the beach to the hospital bed, I realized, I said to God, there must be a purpose here. There must be a purpose here. But there was a lot of why me.
Yeah.
Why me? Why? But that's not where we are right now. Where we are right now is stuff happens. And that moment when it did happen, all the way to now, was the best, worst thing that ever happened to me. And that being said, yes, I'm a quadriplegic. I'm a C6, C7 quadriplegic. I am paralyzed from basically the nipple down, except for I can feel in some wonderful spots. But that doesn't stop me. I mean, I used to only have this as a wave. Wow. Like, so when someone would come, we celebrated this. We all celebrated that. And that's what I'm talking about. You take everything you have for granted, but then, boom, it could be gone, and you could be gone. Or you could remain with us as a second chance. And with that second chance, I believe God was testing me. You know, I believe everything was a test. patience on how to shave again. Oh my God. I couldn't even hold the razor. Patience in accepting who I was and where I was, and then being told by the doctors that you would never do this and you would never do that. They said I would never have triceps again. They said I would never be in a manual chair. They said a lot of things that I've overcome, man. I mean, because, it takes money. And my biggest fears immediately came and played in on my heart after the accident. Oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? Is she still going to love me? How, am I ever going to walk again? I mean, how am I going to afford all this? Oh God, all these fear things. And that fear drives you nowhere. It absolutely does nothing for you except for age you and harm you in ways that you just can't even imagine. So I learned with that smile, that smile was the only way I could build a relationship with people to make them, because if I was thirsty and I can't press the button, I smile at them, like, to come back, right? You know to come back. And they'll come back. You thirsty? And boom, or, there's all kinds of ways to help communicate with someone if you don't have like your hands like I'm using or your body. So you have to understand that smile was all I had. And that's also because my diaphragm was taken from me. So I was not on a respirator, but I was on a liquid diet, and I was very fit before my accident. And so that actually was wonderful on one hand, but on the other hand, it was very tough because you lose your abs. You just don't have them anymore. And anyway, so hopefully that answered your question.
Aaron, man, that's heavy duty, man. I mean, but so inspiring. You sharing about that experience. So let's fast forward. From that tragedy that happened. I mean, what are you doing today? I mean, what are some of the things that you're doing now?
Okay, so today I feel like I'm a recipe of everything. There's so many things that I was forced to learn and adapt to that you would think I was a freak of nature, so some of the things that I'm doing are obviously business and personal, and my personal life, we're trying to grow in a direction that will impact people's lives and lead them closer to Jesus. I'm really trying to focus on spending time doing that, because you can make all the money in the world, but it really doesn't mean anything, especially when you're alone. So I like helping others. It makes me happy to see others succeed, and especially when they actually listen to my advice and then they succeed. That is awesome. So right now I am focusing on business and businesses. I have several, but while I'm doing that, I am trying to be a shepherd. So I've been a mover, like I move homes to home and businesses to businesses, and I'm like their shepherd. I pioneer them through the experience, because clearly I can't do the moving, but I hire the right people and we go get it done. What I say has to be done, because your word is everything in this business. So if you tell them 10 a.m., you got to get there at 10. But right now I'm pioneering people through change. And there's a lot of change happening right now. When you walk outside and you get in your car and you start driving, you're going to start thinking about change is inevitable, but it's always appreciated when it's done. But while you're going through the change, there's so many things that will hold you down, like gravity. And you have to remember to stay above the water. Keep your head up. Yeah. And everything that happens to you is good. You just have to allow it to be good. Yeah. And sometimes you'll have bad days. Sometimes you'll have bad things. But those bad things are building you up to something huge and something big for you.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing.
Man, I mean, I check. You have a website, your own personal website that kind of shares a little bit about your story, and I saw you in the gym and all that stuff. I was like, man, look at you, man. You're making it happen, and your business is doing very well. You have a moving company. It's a furniture taxi, I believe.
Yes, I have a moving company called the Furniture Taxi, thefurnituretaxi.com. And and then I dabble in a couple other areas of business because I believe in this day and age you should try to focus on several income strategies. So
multiple streams, as they say, right?
Yeah. Because when I got hurt, I only had one, and it was taken from me. So, and I also learned prior to, let's go rewind now. Before my accident, I had a huge business that had my name on everything. And it was me. And then when I got hurt, I lost everything that was mine. And then I lost everything that was not attached to me. I mean, she, it, all of them. I can sum that up. She, it, all of them. And you know what?
It was great.
It was great. It wasn't meant to be, because right now I'm right exactly where I need to be here with you. I'm so blessed with everything I have, everything I've prayed for, everything I've wanted, everything I've worked so hard for is here now.
I hear you, man. So for someone who's watching that's kind of going through struggling right now, whatever, maybe it's something that's mental, maybe it's physical, or whatever, or maybe even spiritual. I mean, what words of wisdom or suggestions that you may have for a person that's kind of feeling down for whatever reason and needs something to kind of get them back into the fight?
When God's people were in the desert, all they wanted was water. When they arrived to the river and needed the water to be moved, God did it. God moves every mountain. It's statistical and as well as it's written biblically. If you need to understand the story so that it will generate more faith inside of you. But if you're lost, it's only because you don't know the direction. And so it's not about an answer. See, if you give someone the answer, then they take that information and they try to prove whether it was wrong or right. Okay, so you don't do that. You don't give them the answer. You give them the direction through your own spirit and your own inspiration or your own experience is. And they can either accept it or not. But God has a way of that gravity. It will just weigh on their heart as long as you continue to be consistent with what you say and what you did. And if they can't find any wrongs, then it must be right. So that's it, man. Yeah. If you're in a bad spot right now and you're lost, you just really need a direction. So if you just pray about the direction and believe in it, activate that faith like Wi-Fi, it will come. It will come. I mean, of course, I do believe that you have to accept Jesus Christ in your heart. Mm-hmm. But for those that don't know who Jesus is and you do know who God is, listen, we're all on the same team.
Yeah, that's so good, man, because Ron and I were talking about this on the way over here. We were talking about the pandemic stuff and how people. It's very interesting because I heard this on the radio that right now the real estate market is blowing up. It's like people are like really surprised on how many houses are moving. And we were talking about how there's two mindsets as far as what's going on with the pandemic. There's the mindset of defeat and victim, and there's the mindset of opportunity. And I think we as God's people should always have the mindset of opportunity. I'm not saying to go out and make money, but the mindset of using what's given to us to make a difference in people's lives. Whether that's going out in the community, and I have a friend of mine that has a homeless ministry, and he's going out and feeding the homeless, to business people that are taking some of their monies and donating it to different causes. So it's so critical at this time to make that decision. And see, even in your situation, you had a kind of a pandemic, so to speak, in your life, but you decided to, to not so much be a victim, but to be a victor. And so I'm just so thankful, man, for you to kind of hang out with me today. I mean, it's so inspiring. I hope that that everybody that's watching has been inspired about what you have to say. And if they want to know a little bit more about you, where can they find you?
Okay, so my name is Aaron Polk, AaronPolk.com. Just go there. It has all the content you would need to know how to communicate with me, and I'm gonna seal it like this. There are a lot of millionaires that make millions of dollars by the economy going up and down. So if you just don't understand that, you should find someone that inspires you. And I'm talking about in life as well as in business. And just go and focus on what your similarities are and what your differences are. And then figure out what they did and just do it. That's it. It's real simple science. It's just, you got to do it. And if you ask every millionaire, what's the most valuable thing to you? And you would think their money, or what they own, or who they're married to, or all those things, which their kids and their family mean everything to them as well as their faith. But the one resource that means the most to everyone, whether or not you realize it or not, and I'm going to tell you right now, is time. You cannot rewind. You cannot fast forward. But you definitely can focus on the play. Stay in the game. Be a player. Pay attention to the ball, not the cheerleaders. Focus on what's happening. You're in the game right now. Now the choice relies on you. Do you want to listen or hear? One is an action. Okay? So listening and hearing. Hearing means I remember and I'm going to do it. Listening is in one ear and out the other. You choose which one you are today, you'll make it.
All right now. All right, man. Aaron, man, thank you so much, man, for your words of wisdom, man. I mean, I'm so excited about what you had to share. And guys, if you want to hear more about what we're doing with God Dreamers, if you have any ideas, if you have any people that that are have some really great things that they're doing for the community and for other people, please share that with me. Please visit my social media, YouTube and GodDreamers.com. If you please subscribe, and if you like what we're doing, like it and give us some feedback. So until next time, Aaron, been a pleasure, man.
Thanks, Todd.
You guys take care.
Thank you.
Be blessed.